multi-rigged out, everyone's just literally...
Clean me out. They've cleaned me out of multi-rigs, they've cleaned me out of 360s. I haven't got any nails left from tying multi-rigs up. I haven't got any tasker screws, any missing link, any fangs. Even, it's obviously works because we go to Nash, we ain't got no 6s and 7s left in fangs. We haven't got any room rings, we haven't got any missing link. So obviously has worked.
Yep, it's the Sunday, I might add. So I've had to have a bit of a rethink. So I thought, why not? I'll just speak to my mate Jules and ask him about the start of 2014.
Well, years ago I used to make plans every year, rigid plans. I was going to do this, going to do that, but I've stopped doing that, and now literally I make sure I've got tickets for a number of waters, and now I pick and choose my waters depending on conditions, and that has made my fishing a lot better. I don't just fish one water to death. I will have tickets for 3 or 4 waters, and I will fish the right water depending on the occasion. So there are some waters that are great on flat calm days. There are some waters that are great on windy days. There are some waters that fish better at weekends. Some fish better at bank holidays due to angler pressure. Some waters fish better pre-spawning. Other waters fish better after spawning. And to me, having tickets for more waters is just, it's common sense. It's just like having different rigs or different baits. It's common sense. It's good use of your time.
And no doubt, the time of the year will be quite the selection of the water.
Yeah, I mean, you can. If I had more time, then I might fish for big fish in winter, but it doesn't. I like to catch fish, and in winter I want to go on waters where I'm going to get a bite, but I'm not going to get rammed out with people. So there are some waters where you could get plenty of bites, but you're going to be one of about 30 carp anglers. I don't want to do that. So I have in the last year or two, I've picked waters which I call mixed fisheries. In other words, they've got coarse anglers fishing for bream and roach, which are keeping the carp moving. So I tend to fish waters with carp up to £25, where you might catch a chub, you might catch a bream, but you're going to catch more carp. You know, that keeps you fresh. What I learn in the winter gives me an advantage in April. There's a lot of carp anglers don't fish or don't catch in winter, and come April they're starting again. Come April for me, I've caught the best part of probably 200 carp from what I call winter through to now. So it gives me a massive advantage in baits and tactics.
If you followed Jules's series in Crafty Carp, Diary Off, and the fan page on Facebook, then I'll plug there, you'll know that Jules has been one thing that stood out for me was catching them off the surface in like late February.
Yeah, I mean this is quite funny actually. Yeah. I was never a good surface angler, primarily because I fished overnighters. And by the time you get there, the time you set up, generally it's never a good time to catch them off the surface. When I watch people surface fishing, they were finding a few mixers out, they were chasing the carp round, they were getting a bite, striking and missing, and I just thought to myself, that's not good use of my time. I understand why they're doing it, but it's not good use of my time. And then I remember fishing with one of my mates, Graham, and we fished a water together. We both fished to the edge because that's where we were going to catch 4 to 6 fish a day. And he fished this ground bait method, and all bits of sweet corn and pellet were sort of floating away, and the carp were taking it off the top like that. I hadn't brought my surface gear, he had, and that day he had 9 fish and I had 2. Now I don't mind the odd 1 or 2 difference, but I thought, do you know what? And I watched what he did, and it was almost like, it was almost rigid fishing but on the top. So I actually make my surface fishing really as effective as my fishing on the bottom, and now I'm just as good fishing on the top as I am on the bottom.
Is it a good time to mention the rods then?
Yeah, I mean, I think I found with carp is that on the surface, if you just fish one kind of surface bait, there's some days they love the rising pellet, there's some days they love mixers, there's some days they love the floating trout pellet. And I found that the best way to get carp taken off the surface is to use all 3. So I mix them all in a bucket, fire them out. Some days they love the tiniest of pellets, and some days they'll ignore the pellets and have the big ones, but you will get a reaction out of them. So many people talked about catching carp on zigs and putting 2 under the surface, and I think a lot of these people are catching on zigs just because the carp are dropping down. Catch them on the surface, they're a lot easier to catch on the surface than they are to find with the right zig depth a foot or 2 under the surface.
And in your own honest opinion, I mean, talking about the rods pressure still, I know we've all seen the video now, the new Pop DVD by Nashi. I mean, the devastating results and the effect that it's had for Kevin.
I mean, yeah, it works for me in winter. How it's going to work this summer, I don't know. But I do find that the best used in conjunction with a few standard normal mixer pellets. I have had them going absolutely crazy on rising pellets, but you can't actually does. So I just make it easier on myself. They're absolutely fantastic.
It's tasty stuff. Whilst we're still on the subject of bait, last year was on the monster squid.
Yeah, last year I used monster squid, which was absolutely brilliant. Probably had my most successful year ever. I tended to stick with bait for year upon year, and this year I thought, you know what, I'm going to change my main bait each year. So this year I've decided to do. No, I decided to do something different. I just wanted to do something different, and this year I decided to go and scope it squid, which I think is a little bit more instant. And I got some scope it squid, and it just felt right. You sometimes see houses, and you can't say why that's the house you want to live in, but it just feels right. Or cars. And as soon as I tried that scope it squid, there was just something about it that felt right.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that bait now, it's in the excess of 20 years old.
Oh, it must be, yeah. I mean,
and it's called Carp all over.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've already caught some carp on it. I've made all my pop-ups. I've got the freezers full of it. And it just feels right. It's a great bait. And, you know, we'll see, won't we? The proof of the pudding will be CarpIn on 2015 when he'll either bald, because I ain't caught any carp, or I'm going, yeah, I was right.
I was talking to Crowy earlier, Simon Crow, and I mean, obviously associated with Nash, but he did, that was mentioned in our conversation, and he said, you know, it's a bait that doesn't mention it's scope squid, it doesn't need anything else added to it, it's a proven track.
Straightforward scope squid, no addition. And the thing I'm a consultant for Nash. I can have my bait made exactly as I want, so I can have red in them, black in them, additional flavours. That's no good for the people that are buying the bait. I can assure you that people who buy scope squid, that's exactly what I use. Straightforward out the freezer. I'll make my own corkball poppers because that's what I do.
Yeah.
But the same bait that you buy is the same bait I use. And I'm not secretive at all. So if somebody comes along and I say, that's what I'm using, actually take some of this and use it. You know, I'm not bothered about what other people catch. I want them to catch fish. If they're not catching them while I'm there, I ain't bothered.
You made a good point there about corkball pop-ups.
Yeah.
Now, the average sponsored angler would just say, right, I'm sponsored by a bait company, I will get X amount of hot baits and pop-up.
I've always made my hook baits. Always, you know, in an ideal world, I make my own bottom baits and my own freebies. But there's something about corkballs that I always like to make my own hook baits. I probably spend maybe 2 days a year making my own hook baits. You know, I spoke to Gary, I got the recipe, and irrespective of him giving me the recipe, I had to be sure, because Gary Bayes ain't sat behind them rods. I'm sat behind them rods, and it has to be right. So he gave me the recipe. I used it as he told me. I varied it slightly, so I use probably 66% of the base mix as it is, and I use 33% of the pop-up mix. And those baits are absolutely perfect. And I've had them set up. I do a lot of tank testing. Those baits are sat in water for 3 days. I'm never going to fish 3 days, but if they're still balanced after 3 days, they're spot on.
So if Gary turns around and says, this is what I recommend for like pop-up, you're more prepared to say, not what happened, you'll just tweak it.
I'll tweak it for my. Absolutely, he's probably right. But Gary ain't sat behind them rods at my lakes. I am. So I will tweak it and see if he's right. And, you know, the mixes he gives me are right, but I tend to make them either a bit smaller and harder or larger and softer. You know, for my kind of fishing.
And just before we finish off. What about rock wheels? Is it passion in your life?
Yeah. It's you know, as a kid, I was lucky enough to go in the era of rock that appeared for me, which was sort of the 70s and the 80s. Now with my friendship with Duff Batty, who does the PR, the Case, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Slash, I get to meet my heroes, and I cannot say how much that has been. You know, I get to meet my fishing heroes, and now I get to meet my rock heroes. And you know, as a kid growing up, I used to see pictures of Peter Springate. I think one day I might meet him. He now chats to me as an equal.
Yeah.
I don't mean equal of catching the same fish, but we are carp fishers. I get to meet the rock stars of the world. I think, I remember buying your albums, and now you're saying hello to me, we're chatting, I'm watching you playing, I'm watching you from the side of the stage. I am the luckiest bastard in the world. I truly am.
So Pete Springate, I mean, I don't know when we spoke to you for 10, 15 minutes, but you just came across as no different to me, do you?
I mean, Pete Springate, and what I loved is that Pete Springate is the same with me now as when I was a young lad. He doesn't treat me any different, and I love that. And I've always tried to be that. If a kid comes in here, he's 12 and never caught a carp, I'll treat him no different to how I treat Pete Springate. I hated him market in the early years where people would poo-poo people who were not on their level. We're all the same with carp anglers. We're successful, we're not successful. We have good years and bad years. I've always tried to be like that. I don't talk down to anybody because there's always somebody who's caught less carp than me. There's always somebody who's caught more carp than me. We're just carp anglers, and some of us give, some of us take. It's only carp fishing. It's not a cure for cancer.
That is absolutely spot on. I mean, well, we were talking to a gentleman earlier before we started this interview, and it's safe to say he got himself in a bit of a state.
He got himself in a bit of a state about what other people think about him. I mean, I've been carp fishing. In the 80s, I was like a northern carp who wrote about carp fishing, and a lot of people used to take the mickey. What do you know about carp fishing? I don't worry what people think about me. I try and be me, and either people like me or don't like me. If they don't like me and I give them some bait, they'll like me. Well, that's not really them liking, is it? I just am me, and either you like me or you don't like me, and I don't worry about it. I just try and be me, and that's all I can do.
Well, I'm going to speak now on behalf of all your